In the 1970s, homosexuality was illegal in most American states. People were arrested, fired from their jobs, rejected by their families. Coming out in Hollywood was career suicide. But Marlon Brando looked at the camera and said, "I've slept with men and women." The world was shocked. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, because this is the story of showing courage in a society's darkest moment, defying the law, and maybe one of the most important moments in Hollywood history. 1970s America was very different from today. The Stonewall riots had happened in 1969, but the gay rights movement was just beginning. Homosexuality was a crime in most states. Police would raid bars, arrest people. Employers could fire homosexual employees. Families would reject their children. Society viewed gay people as sick and perverted. The AIDS crisis hadn't started yet, but the homophobic atmosphere was already there. Churches cursed homosexuals in sermons. Politicians passed anti-gay laws to protect family values. Gay characters were banned on television. The word homosexual wasn't even used in newspapers. Hollywood was at the center of this atmosphere. Studios controlled image, male stars had to be seen with women, fake girlfriends were introduced to the press, fake marriages were arranged. Rock Hudson was the biggest romantic comedy star of the era. His films with Doris Day broke box office records. America saw him as the perfect, but Rock was hiding his sexuality. The studio arranged a fake marriage with a woman named Phyllis Gates. It lasted 3 years, then they quietly divorced. Rock kept his secret until he died. When he died of AIDS in 1985, the truth came out. America was shocked. Rock Hudson was gay. Montgomery Clift also hid his sexuality. The pressure led to depression and alcohol addiction. In 1956, he had a terrible car accident. His face was destroyed. He became addicted to painkillers. He died in 1966 at 45. Tab Hunter stayed silent to protect his career. "If I'd come out, I would have lost everything," he said years later. Marlon Brando was born on April 3rd, 1924, in Omaha, Nebraska. His childhood was traumatic. His father, Marlon Brando Sr., was a harsh, violent man. His mother, Dorothy, was an alcoholic. Young Marlon was unhappy at home. His father constantly yelled, "You're worthless." Marlon never forgot those words. When his mother would pass out drunk, Marlon would carry her home from the street. At 16, he was sent to military school, but he hated discipline, got kicked out. In 1943, he ran away to New York. He joined the Actors Studio. He became Lee Strasberg's student. He learned method acting. For the first time, he felt free. For the first time, he could be himself. In 1947, he played Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire on Broadway. The theater world was shaken. "This isn't acting, it's real," they said. In 1951, the film version was made. Marlon became world famous. But he couldn't adapt to Hollywood. Studios wanted to control him. "Dress this way, act this way," Marlon said. No. He fought with directors, walked off sets, tore up contracts. In 1954, he won an Oscar for On the Waterfront. But even at the awards ceremony, he was rebellious. He gave a short speech and left. Hollywood labeled him a difficult man. By the late 1960s, Marlon was tired. He was fed up with Hollywood. "This industry is garbage," he said. He withdrew to his home, gained weight, turned down offers. Some said Brando is finished. But in 1972, Francis Ford Coppola convinced him. He played Vito Corleone in The Godfather. He delivered one of the most iconic performances in cinema history. In 1973, he won an Oscar, but he didn't attend the ceremony. Instead, he sent a Native American woman named Sacheen Littlefeather. She walked on stage and said, "Marlon Brando refuses this award because Hollywood demeans Native Americans." The room was shocked. John Wayne tried to rush the stage to throw her off. Security stopped him. Hollywood was even more furious at Brando. But Marlon didn't care. He never answered to anyone. In early 1976, French writer Truman Capote conducted a long interview with Marlon Brando. They talked for days. Brando felt comfortable. Capote seemed trustworthy. They discussed sexuality, freedom, society. One evening, Capote asked, "Marlon, what do you think about sexual orientation?" Brando said, "It's nonsense. People should choose who they love, man or woman. What's the difference?" Capote asked, "What about you? Have you ever been with men?" The room went silent. Brando lit a cigarette, looked out the window. A long silence. Then he turned and answered, "Yes, I've slept with men and women. When I was young, when I was old, always. This is my choice. This is my nature, and there's nothing to be ashamed of." Capote was shocked. "Marlon, do you know what will happen if I publish this? Your career could end." Brando laughed. A cold, bitter laugh. "Career? I don't care anymore. Hollywood is already done for me. They're finished with me. I'm finished with them." "Does it matter?" Capote said. "But people will judge you. Families, fans, everyone." Brando leaned forward, looked into Capote's eyes. "The people who judge me are people who don't understand me anyway. I don't need their opinions. I'm a free man. I live free. I'll die free." Capote asked, "So I can publish it?" Brando said, "Publish it. Let the whole world know." Marlon Brando answers to no one. The interview was published in Playgirl magazine in 1976. The headline was shocking. Marlon Brando, "I've slept with men and women." The magazine sold out at newsstands. Everyone was talking. TV shows were debating. Newspapers ran headlines. Brando's bold confession spread around the world. Some applauded him, finally someone honest. But most reactions were negative. Churches cursed him. Conservative groups boycotted his films. Hollywood froze. Studio heads held meetings. "We won't work with Brando." Producers made agreements among themselves. Offers stopped coming to Brando. Hollywood was punishing him. After 1976, Marlon Brando's career changed. Big productions stopped offering him roles. Studios kept their distance. The press called him perverted. One newspaper wrote, "Brando's confession shamed Hollywood." Conservative groups held protest marches. Some theaters stopped showing Brando films. TV networks pulled his old movies from broadcast. Sponsors said, "If you air Brando films, we'll pull our ads." Warner Brothers, Paramount, MGM, all the major studios quietly blacklisted Brando. Even agents didn't want to represent him. "If we work with you, we'll lose our other clients," they said. But Brando didn't care. He withdrew to his home, retreated to his island in Tahiti. He lived there alone, fished, read books. "I don't need Hollywood," he told friends. "They wanted me. I don't want them." He wouldn't talk to anyone for days. Just nature, the ocean, silence. Some days he'd watch the ocean from morning to evening. He wouldn't do anything, just exist. "This is freedom," he'd say. Not answering to anyone, not having to meet anyone's expectations. But he wasn't completely alone. Some directors defended him. Francis Ford Coppola said, "Marlon is the bravest person. He risked everything to tell the truth." Bernardo Bertolucci said, "Brando is a hero." Young actors continued to idolize him. Al Pacino said, "Marlon taught me to be free." Robert De Niro said, "Without Brando, I wouldn't be who I am today." Jack Nicholson said, "Marlon reinvented acting and then stopped caring." That's real freedom. In 1979, Francis Ford Coppola convinced Brando to do Apocalypse Now. "Work for a week, get $1 million, he said. Brando accepted. But the set was difficult. Brando weighed 280 pounds, wouldn't memorize lines, scenes were chaotic. Coppola was going crazy. "Marlon, please look at the script." Brando said, "No, I'll improvise. Kurtz is insane, he doesn't need a script." When the film was released, critics praised Brando's prophetic performance. But everyone knew Brando wasn't the same anymore. He'd aged, he was tired, he didn't care. 1990. Marlon Brando's son, Christian Brando, shot and killed his sister Cheyenne's boyfriend, Doug Drolet. Christian said, "He was beating my sister. I had to protect her." Police raided the house. Christian was arrested. He went to trial. Marlon came to court to defend his son. He hadn't been seen in years. He weighed 330 pounds, looked sick, struggled to breathe. He took the witness stand. He cried, he begged, "Please forgive my son. This is my fault. I was a bad father. I didn't spend time with my children. I didn't choose them over Hollywood, money, fame. What Christian did is the result of my mistakes." His voice broke, tears flowed, the courtroom was silent. Everyone watched the great Marlon Brando collapse, but the judge didn't listen. Christian was found guilty of voluntary manslaughter. He got 10 years in prison. When Marlon left the courthouse, paparazzi attacked. Photos were taken. The next day, in newspapers, broken Marlon Brando. Cheyenne had a display. Psychological breakdown. She hated her father. "You destroyed us," she told Marlon. "We were sacrificed for your career. You were never a father." Marlon couldn't respond. Because it was true. He'd given his life to Hollywood, to acting, to freedom. But he hadn't given it to his children. In 1995, Cheyenne hanged herself in Tahiti. She was 25 years old. When Marlon heard the news, he collapsed. For days he didn't speak, didn't eat, didn't move. A friend said, "Marlon died, but his body is still alive. He'd lost 2 children. Christian was in prison. Cheyenne was dead, and both were angry at him." Marlon never forgave himself. "God is punishing me," he'd say. "I was a bad father. Now I'm paying the price." In the early 2000s, Marlon Brando was a ghost. He lived alone in his Los Angeles home. The house was like a dump. Food scraps, dirty clothes, old newspapers. Marlon didn't clean, didn't let anyone in. His health problems worsened. Diabetes, kidney failure, heart problems, shortness of breath. Doctors said, "You need to lose weight or you'll die." Marlon said, "I'm already dead." He was hospitalized, released. Hospitalized again, released again. Each time he was a little weaker, a little more tired. Old friends tried to visit him. Jack Nicholson knocked on the door. Marlon wouldn't open it. "Go away, Jack. I don't want you to see me like this." Robert De Niro called. Marlon didn't answer. Francis Ford Coppola sent a letter. "Marlon, please talk to me. You're my hero." Marlon didn't even read the letter. He didn't want to talk to anyone. Everyone had forgotten him. He wanted to forget everyone too. Christian got out of prison in 2001 but wouldn't talk to his father. "I have nothing to say to you," he said. He died in 2008. Marlon didn't go to the funeral. He couldn't, because he himself was dying. On July 1st, 2004, Marlon Brando died of pulmonary fibrosis at UCLA Medical Center. He was 80 years old. No one was with him. He died alone. When the news broke, the world was surprised. Marlon Brando was still alive? Many people thought he died long ago. The funeral was small, private. Only family and a few close friends attended. Almost no one from Hollywood came. According to Marlon's wishes, his body was cremated, his ashes scattered in Tahiti. The ocean took him back. He found freedom. Marlon Brando's 1976 confession seemed like career suicide at the time. But as years passed, it took on a different meaning. Brando had shown courage. He'd done something no one else dared to do. He'd told the truth, and that truth gradually became accepted. In the 1980s, the gay rights movement grew stronger. In the 1990s, the AIDS crisis raised awareness. In the 2000s, Hollywood started to change. Gay actors could now come out. Neil Patrick Harris, Ellen DeGeneres, Ian McKellen came out, and their careers didn't end. In 2015, same-sex marriage was legalized in the United States. What Brando had said 40 years earlier was now considered normal. Today, Marlon Brando is remembered as one of the 20th century's greatest actors, the man who introduced method acting to the world. The man who created Vito Corleone, but also the man who showed courage, the man who defied the law, the man who didn't bow to society's pressure. When he said, "I've slept with men and women" in 1976, the world wasn't ready. But Brando didn't care because he never answered to anyone. He lived by his own rules. And that freedom cost him everything. But it was still worth it because Marlon Brando was free, and freedom meant everything to him.